All right.
Ladle, ladle, ladle.
They didn't get all of that. They just got the second one. But that's a fun way to start the stream. Welcome, everybody, to another session of Whispers in the Woods. It does feel like it's been 7 years, but
Approximately.
we just missed a week due to some busier schedules. But we're back now and ready to resume. I don't think I have any bookkeeping to do. No, I don't believe I do. So we can get right back into the recap. Let's get our little, here we go. Oh yeah, there was a poll up. Winning result was good, followed by a close second of Sleepy. Alright, that's good. Thank you, Tavernaut. And welcome back. The scene changes with which campaign we're currently running. This is the Whispers in the Woods one, where everything has started to be overrun by plant life and mushrooms. Rather fitting for the area we're about to return to. So, without further ado, let's do our recap. The party is traveling to the hidden city of Upperloft as they are pursuing a mysterious woman who hired assassins to kill them simply because of the strange sigils on the backs of their hands. Though they're still a little unclear of what these sigils mean, it clearly has some sort of significance and importance if they are wanted dead because of them. After interrogating some of the assassins, they were led to this client of the assassins, the mysterious woman, who had been calling herself Beatrice, but they have since learned that it may be something else. And the reason this woman's so hard to find is because she seems to slip away, sort of between planes. So they consulted with the forest spirit of the Driella Basin and found that she wasn't teleporting or disappearing, turning invisible. She was walking between planes into the Feywild, which is why she was so hard to track. So the party is seeking Upperloft, as it is a city of the Fey, and they may be able to help them gain access to the Feywild, as well as potentially get a little bit more information about what exactly is going on. So in their most recent sessions, they were traveling through the Whisperweald, which is a rather complex and frustrating forest full of all sorts of strange foliage that Upperloft is said to lay within, though it is rumored to be rather hard to find without a Fey guide to bring you there. Luckily, after being tricked by a perfectly innocent, let's be honest, he was a nice guy, creature named Gimbal, into walking into a trap, they happened to find a small fairy named Holly, who, in exchange for them having saved her life, she offered to lead them to the city. And that was where we left off last session, with the party resting and then waking up to spend another day traveling through the Whisperweald. So without further ado, let's get right back into it. Into the middle of the forest. All right. So, the four of you and your guide, the diminutive and injured Holly, awoke in the morning, packing up your things, ready to continue your travels. And after witnessing a rather unique sunrise, you were ready to get on your way once more. Oh yeah, they're talking in the chat about everyone's best friend Gimbal.
He doesn't have to apologize. I forgive him already.
No,
No.
no. If y'all haven't forgiven me for killing the cat, we can't forgive Gimbal.
She makes a good point.
I mean, I forgave you for it. In fact, I
Okay,
don't
then
think.
yeah. You know what? I'm with you then. Yeah.
You partake in it.
Yeah. I was never upset at you over it. How about that?
All right, I forgive you then. Yeah, I'm with you then. We love Gimbal.
True.
But then you can go see him again.
All
I'm
right.
gonna
Yeah.
grab him by his little legs and fling him into the bushes.
Oh my god! Yes.
Okay.
I'm with it, but yes.
All right. So having gathered up your things and ready to proceed, Holly, on the back of one of your bats, Draven, that you summoned for her, steering it by wiggling its little ears, begins to fly off in a northerly direction. With, I suppose, the rest of you in tow if you wish to follow her.
But of course.
I'm
Yep.
intrigued.
All right, let me grab the gang with that little bat. All right, so once more, you begin to make your way through Spritling's Copse, as the creatures here called it. The trees, of course, many different colors. You guys did long rest. I don't think you should have 7 HP.
Thank God, I looked at it. I was like, what the hell happened?
It might have just been we long rested at the end of the session, so you might have just forgot to do it there.
Okay, I feel better again.
So yeah,
Continue.
long rest. All right. So Holly flutters off on her bat, just sort of weaving in between the multicolored trees as you attempt to keep pace. Occasionally, she'll circle around one, waiting for you all to catch up. And as she travels, she'll occasionally just sort of fork off in an entirely different direction from where you perceived north to be, and just head somewhere else entirely. And so you do your best to keep up. Oh, you take a pretty leaf? All right, very good. What color? There's lots of different colors here you can pick.
I want
This is
this
important.
one. I want this one. I'll take this pink leaf. This is my
A tree comes alive and does 7 damage.
Ah!
The leaf is a tiny mimic. Bite your finger.
All right, you grab a small little leaf from the tree. As I said before, they're sort of slightly translucent, which when the light passes through it gives it a bit of a stained glass effect. But Holly leads you onwards, deeper into the Spritling's Copse. Yeah, the state of Marta's is pockets. Did she ever dump out those plants that were growing in there, or are they still there?
Still there. You think
Alright.
I get rid of those? No, it's part of me.
Good to know, good to know. Let me
You know,
just...
Gimbal could have did that.
Alright, Martos, you're slightly less clear than the others, so just make sure that you're speaking into the mic. I just noticed that you're slightly quieter than the others, and I can't turn you up
I just-
anymore in Discord.
I got like a new headset, so I don't know about this.
Yeah, just make sure that the mic is near you.
Gotcha.
Alrighty. So traveling further onwards, Holly fluttering about on her bat.
Whoa. Her bat?
It's hers now. Hey, you didn't even name it, so
She better stay within 30 feet of me or she's gonna be on the ground again.
It's like the bat gets like flung out back by like an invisible rope or something, and then she just goes flying forward.
Oh, what the hell? Wait, 1 second. Is this
Yeah,
a
I'm waiting.
dead person?
Waiting for
That
the
looks
map
like
to
a
load.
dead person. Oh, there's a dead person. Poke him with a stick.
As you walk your way along following Holly, she just sort of flutters past a corpse on the ground face down. The figure does not appear to be moving.
Oh wait, never mind. I might restart my Roll20 or refresh it because it's taking a while to load in maps.
All good.
Hey, Holly? Are you gonna acknowledge the dead person here?
Holly had fluttered right past it, but she kind of circles back and flutters around towards you and just says, what am I supposed to say?
Can I poke it?
What's gonna see what he's got?
Yeah, we're
no.
gonna poke it. Poking it.
Check his pockets.
Gonna
You
duck below the bag.
you poke the corpse, but it does not move.
Yep, he's dead. All right, guys.
Yeah, Wits is gonna loot this guy.
Holly
Wait,
just
no.
Holly just sort of shrugs, like, it's not my fault that people wander in here and die.
That's facts. She doesn't have to say shit about this.
Is that a common sight then?
Well, if you're not fair folk, then it's not exactly easy to navigate here.
Ugh.
You can make a medicine check on the corpse if you want.
Alrighty. That is a great medicine check.
It's there. There.
That's not bad. He's certainly dead. And you can't find any sort of wounds on him. There's no obvious stab wound if you roll him over. No caked blood or anything, or bruising. He just sort of looks thin, emaciated.
What's he got on him?
Wait,
Not
No.
food.
He's got a small coin purse, and then sort of some empty parcels as well, with crumbs.
Mm-hmm.
He has 30 gold in his coin purse.
This is a rich man.
And he carries on him a dagger and a hammer.
Oh, hey, Draven, I never got you another dagger after I melted yours, right?
I believe we found one somewhere, but I don't
Oh, see,
think that
Draven, I
you-
got you. I remembered you. I got you a dagger. Here you go. He just gives him the
Go on.
dagger. He gives him the dagger that he found on the body. See, I was thinking about you, Draven.
It's very
Of
kind of
course
you,
you do.
Wits.
Very kind of him
Would
as he.
you judge me if I take his ear?
Yes.
His beard?
Yeah, his no, not his beard, his ear.
Wits'
Is that a
beard.
judging thing?
Can I?
Or
Can
the
I?
want
guy's
no beer? I don't want no beer. I want ear.
Okay, I wasn't
No.
sure. I wasn't sure if you're saying
That's worse.
his gear or his ear. The thing that you hear out of, or the things that you carry on you.
I need them hearing devices.
The Holly shrugs. I don't care what you do.
Takes the axe out, looks at party. Does the eyes. Need a head shake, yes or no, guys? Eyeballs.
That is grotesque, Mardos.
What's his
I'm
counting gold? He
not-
ain't paying attention.
I'm not hearing a no, though.
No,
I
I
can't
support you,
say no to you
Martos.
anymore.
I got the support. I want his right ear. You know what? No, I
Yeah.
want his left ear. I want the left ear.
Go over here and not look at that.
All right.
Dead man's left ear.
Spend a moment to slice off this deceased dwarf's ear.
Oh, he's a dwarf. I gotta put dwarf ear. You never know when you need an ear, guy.
You take a look at the dagger. It doesn't appear particularly special. You can make an investigation check on it if you want.
Sure. Also, now we can make "lend me your ear" jokes to Martos.
God damn it.
Oh no.
I will give you this ear.
Oh, good roll.
The dagger is clearly dwarven in construction. A little bit different than the more kind of thinner, delicate daggers that an elf might make. It's robust and plain and practical. But it doesn't appear to have any caked blood on it or anything. It doesn't appear to have been used in quite some time, or at least has been cleaned since then.
Okay.
Does he have a cape on him?
He's got sort of, like a longer cloak.
I want
But longer for a dwarf.
Oh, never mind then.
So it'd probably not reach past your knees.
It looked like a little, like I'm wearing a little kid's cape.
Probably.
Like a little
yeah.
shawl. A little shawl.
Holly's still just sort of circling, just says, "We're ready to go now,
I'm satisfied.
folks."
Yep, let's go.
It's holding a bag of gold. I'm satisfied.
Wiz, would you mind looking over this dagger while we walk, just to see if it has any magical properties?
Oh, sure. Witz will take the dagger, and while we're going along, he'll ritual cast Identify.
Thank you.
All right. One sec. So as you're walking, Holly just kind of continues to lead you, saying, "It's not exactly an uncommon occurrence. Folk wandering in here trying to find our city, starving to death because they can't navigate this place."
What reason do these people have for finding your city?
Well, I don't know. Maybe fairy wings can sell for a good price on the black markets.
Good to know.
She just kind of shoots you an uncomfortable look.
Draven mentally jots that down. Say you're only about half value then.
Damn, Drew.
Damn.
Damn.
It's true.
Damn.
Your wing's injured, it's true.
You're not a full price.
All right. So continuing along with Holly as your guide, you eventually come across a rather large river that flows relatively quickly. And Holly just kind of flutters away towards it and, circling a little bit, says, "Yeah, I know this river. Use it as a landmark. We should be almost there."
Did Witz find anything from using Identify on the knife?
No, it's non-magical.
Let's just get back. No, just a regular dwarven dagger. Nothing special about it.
Alright, thank you. Draven looks out at the running water and just looks petrified.
Are lunar elves not able to go over running water?
I usually try to avoid it. I've heard stories from my elders about how dangerous it can be. You could, fall in, drown.
Oh, but it didn't seem too worried when we swam across that lake.
Yes, well, a lake is typically still. This is moving.
Well, if you feel so worried, hey Mardos, you wanna sprint across the water, see how fast you can get across?
I cannot. I am heavy. No run.
So you think we can just go over these rocks?
Me no jump.
And Witz will go for it.
Let's put 1 foot in.
Okay.
They put 1 foot in.
All right.
How strong this stream?
Let's see. Do I need to make a roll to jump to this rock?
Nah, you wouldn't need a roll for that.
Okay.
Martos, you put one of your toes into the water. It's a little bit cold, and it is flowing, but it's not so fast that it would completely sweep you away. It's just sort of rushing.
I feel confident if I fall in, I will not die.
Wits, as you hop to this rock, expecting to land solidly on it, you pass straight through the rock and splash down into the water.
I fucking die laughing. I'm pointing at everything. Holding that belly, pointing, just laughing.
Just tumbles down the river.
There goes Woods.
No,
Oh, there goes Woods.
There he goes.
Oh.
See, my fears were not unfounded.
Oh, you were scared of the water. You should have been scared of the rock.
Well, it's the water below the rock I'm scared of.
Ah, well, I
Marnos,
guess-
do you think the rock in front? Oh, sorry.
I go touch rock. You know what? Why touch it? Woods, jump on that rock. Try this rock. Points.
He's
Is
not
it
gonna
good rock?
jump. He's just gonna walk towards it and just put his
Rock
finger in
to
it.
rock.
Martos,
How
are
is
you, are you jumping to it?
No.
No?
I'm pointing at Woods to touch it.
Alright.
Which is touching the rock.
Wits, you reach your hand out to touch the rock, and your hand just passes straight through it.
The rocks are lies.
Oh, these are pretty good illusions. I'd say they're almost as good as mine.
They're better.
Time to go
Well.
swimming, I guess.
They
I
fooled
wanna
you.
cast minor illusion and make a pog frog right next to Mardos.
I just joked with you. I'm never going to fall. Pop rock.
Is this rock real?
No rocks are here.
You hop down into the water and begin to wade across it. And you examine this rock as well. But your hand passes straight through it as well.
Right, okay. They're lie rocks. Let's just go through them.
Does the water look shallower at any point?
Not particularly, but as Sybil sort of wades across it, it really doesn't get past her hips.
And I'm short, so you know you're fine.
Yeah, probably about knee deep or so. From...
Yeah, just above the knees. It's running relatively quickly, but it's not incredibly deep.
Okay, so knowing that it's not deep at all, Draven will say, "Well, if this is the way we must go, then I will follow. And if I
Wow.
perish in this dangerous river, I would like Martos to have my possessions."
Yeah!
Oh, queen!
Oh no! You'll be fine. We're gonna find out the legends are true. Just put a little toe in. Put a toe in first.
Draven just closes his eyes and sticks a foot in.
Oh, he's oh.
Right. The water's cold, but that's about it.
He's gonna keep his eyes closed and just one foot after another, just step by step, just slowly make it across.
Draven this way. Draven. Draven.
Yes,
Oh, you're venturing. Go right. Go right.
I'm coming.
Walking backwards, just watching him. You live.
Congratulations!
Oh,
Want us to hold your hand next time?
I don't know. I think I got it now. It's not as dangerous as I thought it was going to be.
I got no new stuff.
You you wade your way to the other side of the river, passing through a few of the illusory rocks on the way. Holly just sort of remarking, I didn't know that they used prankster magic on those rocks. I guess I've always flown over it.
Yes, must be nice.
Oh, you can get rid of the pog frog, by the way. He is no more.
Pogfrog lives here now.
Yeah, he's the one that made the illusions. He's the one that made the fake rocks.
You continue to follow Holly for another hour or two, weaving your way in confusing patterns through more of the Spriteling's copse. And eventually, as you begin to travel, after a moment, Holly kind of pauses, just circling in the air and looking lost in thought.
Well, it doesn't appear that we've arrived.
I think we should be close now. Not too much further, I think.
You think?
Is this the same damn tree? Different tree. Many
Hmm.
trees here.
That's impossible. We've been going in a consistent direction.
Mm. I think.
And as she leads you along, she flutters a little bit further out ahead, and then you just kind of notice her react all of a sudden to something just completely invisible to you all. And then she turns back to flutter towards you. It says, "All right, I think we're there. Did you all feel that?"
No.
Feel what?
Definitely not.
It's sort of like a feeling in the pit of your stomach, like you just looked over the edge of a really tall cliff.
Well, I felt that back at the river.
Not quite, just sort of unprovoked all of a sudden, as if you just fell in a dream and woke up.
No.
None of you felt that?
Nope.
Well, it must be a nightmare navigating this forest if you're not fair folk.
How many fruits did you give her, Sybil?
Just one, but she's very small, so.
No, it's not that. No. Listen, all right, follow me for a second. I think this is how it works, but again, I'm fair folk, so I'm not exactly used to leading folk like you through here. It's a little more complicated. Just a couple more steps. And then she circles back towards you, Draven. You didn't feel that?
No.
All right. Okay, I think this is how it works then. Listen, you probably understand that the forest isn't exactly consistent, right?
We
Quite.
gathered that.
All right. So I need you to follow my instructions closely now. Can you do that?
I suppose it depends on what your instructions are.
Well, just kind of points. All four of you need to do this. It won't work unless you all do it.
Go where?
Just step to the line here.
Okay.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
Well, hold on. The last time someone told us to do that, we were attacked.
Yes, but I'm not going to attack you.
It was an accident, Wiz.
Yeah, I'm sure it was an accident.
All right. Now, all of you, turn around. Face that way. She points.
Sure.
And each of you kind of turn around to face the opposite direction. All right, now stand on one foot.
Yeah, are we playing Holly Says?
It's just
Balance
part of
time.
it. You just got to do it.
Alright,
Alright.
stands on one foot.
All right, now touch your nose.
This feels
Touching.
silly.
I know, but
for
it,
it.
it's
Nice.
part of it. You got to do it.
Okay.
All right. Then once each of you has followed suit, she says, "All right, now, all of you together count down from 3, and then all of you turn around."
Alright.
Okay.
3, 2,
2.
1. Are we going on 1?
I think we're all doing it together?
What are we doing? What?
We're counting down to 3 simultaneously.
Oh, okay. Back in pose.
Alright, redo.
Okay.
It's 3,
3,
2,
Two.
fuck.
2.
1.
Hell yeah.
And so all 4 of you turn around, and where once was forest is now instead something else.
That's neat.
Really nice. Oh.
Sorry. Get out of there, Marcus. And Holly just kind of flutters about you, clearly pleased with herself, and says, "I told you it'd work."
Yes, it was a bit silly, but it did work.
Well, I have to admit, the standing on one leg and the touching your nose part, that wasn't actually necessary.
Cool.
How much are those fairy wings worth again?
Listen, I thought it'd be funny, and look, they did it to me first time I came to the city, so it's ritual.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as you turn around and find that what was once just empty forest is instead a massive tree with a staircase built along its roots and glowing lanterns out in front of it, you notice that another rather small creature has begun to flutter its way towards you. This one on its own wings, and bearing a small weapon in its hands.
That's full price.
And at first, the small creature looked a little suspicious towards the 4 of you, but then sees Holly fluttering about and says, "Is that you, Holly?" Yeah. Listen, they're with me. No need to sound the alarm or anything like that. Listen, they saved me, so I told them they could stay. And the other fairy just kind of looks skeptical and profoundly disappointed in Holly, and just sort of looks back at the others and says, or at the 4 of you, and says, "All right. Well, you've already brought them here, so if they cause any trouble, it's on you, Holly. All right? You know the Lord Regent will have your head for this if they make any trouble." Yeah, they won't. Turns back, and then she flutters back towards y'all. You won't, right?
Of course
No,
not.
we won't.
The
Yeah.
troublemakers, us? Of course not.
Right,
Can't be any worse than that
Marcos?
Gimbo fella.
See? No trouble at all. And the other fairy just sort of begrudgingly sighs and accepts it and flutters back towards the stairs, perching on top of one of the lanterns. And Holly turns back towards you and says, "See, we got access now.
Nice. All right.
Follow me."
Thumbs up. Thumbs up, Holly. Thumbs up.
Draven rubs his hands together. Excellent.
Draven, no. Well, maybe.
Jeez. How do you know someone's a serial killer without them telling you they're a serial killer?
And Holly leads you up the steps into the center of this hollowed out tree, where a large wooden elevator, slightly rickety and hoisted by rope and pulleys, sits in the center of it. And you look up kind of out of the platform that you stand on, far above you, and just see this massive expanse of this hollow tree stretch up even past your vision. And Marchos, the small fairy who is standing guard, flutters up behind you and says, "You have to get on the elevator if you want to go up."
I can't pull the lever.
Well,
Ca-
when you pull the lever, then it'll go up. So I imagine you want to go up too, right?
I do, but this is very inefficient.
I suppose if you're fast enough, you could.
What if there's only one of us? Then what would have happened?
Well, I don't see any reason why there'd be no guard in front of Upper Loft.
You got me there. Can you say pull the lever? When you pull it? Pull the lever!
I'm not going to say that, but I suppose you can say that if you want to pretend you're in charge here.
Thank you. Thank you. Is this the thing I have going on?
And she sort of hugs it with both arms, just kind of wrapping her arms around it like she's hugging a tree, and then flutters her wings and cranks the lever to the opposite direction with a big clunk. And you feel the ropes pull taut, and hear them sort of strain for a moment as the rickety elevator begins to pull you upwards. And you travel even further along as the bark of the tree surrounds you. And the whole elevator ride only takes a few moments, but the tree itself is quite tall, so it feels like it stretches on forever. Thank you for the follow, Space Whiskey.
Good name.
Just one moment while I bring you to the next map. And as you travel upwards, well, you're in the right place if you're here for rickety elevators, because that's what we're dealing with right now. And so as the elevator brings you upwards, clacking its way along, and the ropes straining under the weight of four of you, you begin to see glimmers of light from far up above you. And as you get closer and closer, you see this sort of carved square hole in the side of the tree. The elevator pulls you up and through. And as the elevator clunks its way to a stop, you can see through a gap, that same gap that the light is escaping through, that you now stand above the trees.
Whoa. This is a really good map.
Yeah, it is.
It's Disney
Ain't seen
World.
Nothing yet.
The music just gives me Disney World vibes.
And
D&D
stretching out,
Disney World.
stretching out before you, you can see these wooden planks strapped to ropes that form bridges through this canopy of trees. Around you, floating through the air, you can see small little fireflies that offer glimmers of light amongst the many-colored trees. And Holly flutters her way out and just kind of circles a small wooden platform that makes a sort of crossroads at the start of the city and says, "Welcome to Upper Loft."
It's quite intriguing.
thing.
Are you afraid of heights, Mordos?
I am.
No, I wonder why.
You want to walk together?
Together, hold my hand.
There we go.
Excuse me, Wix.
The the rope bridges sort of just twist kind of gently under your weight as you walk across them. And if you gaze down, you can just sort of see the tops of some of the shorter trees, barely even able to see the forest floor below you, as you now stand incredibly high up in these trees. Standing in this little middle crossroad platform as Holly circles her way around you, you can see that the bridges sort of stretch off into two directions, your left and your right. Into two buildings that are sort of perched up on some of the bigger, stronger trees, like tree houses. The one on the right having sort of this rather elegant carved glass ceiling. The roof, you can see kind of the shingles of it, made of this transparent glass, whereas the one on the right is almost entirely covered, the walls in vines. And Holly just sort of circling around says, why exactly were you guys trying to get here in the first place? I forget.
Looking for information, specifically regarding, well, a couple of things. There's this woman we've been tracking, goes by the name of Beira to some. Also looking for information regarding these, and Draven will show the symbol, the sigil on his hand.
Well, I suppose the Lord Regent would want to talk to you. So you should probably pay him a visit before you leave, of course. He's in the Hall of the Blood Moon. And she kind of flutters off. That's this way. Off in this direction. And then flutters back. But I suppose if you're going to stay here, you should find a place to stay. I'd let you stay at my house, but... She glances at the four of you. I don't think you'd fit.
Indeed.
Oh, it's a benefit if she watch apes.
Maybe.
I suppose while you're here, you could stop by the Ent markets.
The what?
The market, you know. You buy things there. You don't have markets outside of the Whisper Wheel.
What currency do you use here? Is it the same as mortals or whatever you call us to use?
Well, not originally. We used seeds and things found in the forest, but ever since the Satyrs of Revel Ridge have started spending more time here, we've had to sort of shift to a more common currency. So now we use mostly gold.
Oh, that's good. I'm broke in that, so.
Do you accept silver? I don't have any gold.
Yes, I suppose so. Coins, mostly. You know.
All right.
Alright.
I believe then market and housing is this way.
Well, off in this direction. She kind of floats over here. This way leads to Fairy Haven and the Sprite Hive. But over here is the Dryad Gardens and the Hole of the Cloven Hoof. You can get to the Ant Markets from both places. Just depends on your preference. I suppose you can explore too. Just don't cause any trouble.
We'll be on our best behavior.
Right, so satyrs or sprites?
I vote
I'll leave
satyrs.
it up to the rest of you.
I vote satyrs.
Yeah, I bet they got alcohol.
Well, I also had a talk with the head of the Linros before we left, and he said that he's had some experience with satyrs, and they're a little more pleasant to deal with.
Alright. we'll go for that then.
All right, I guess then this way, through the Dryad Gardens. We'll get there eventually. And she flutters her way off
Artis,
towards.
you need me to hold your hand? He says
Hold
as
my
he
hand.
sighs.
Hold my hand.
All right.
Let's go.
And so, go ahead. Go ahead.
Real quick, while Wits and Martis are walking across, can I try to like stealthily make my way, like walk up under the bridge?
Don't you fucking do it.
What?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Not a great roll, but
Yeah, just roll perception, I guess. With advantage. One of you do it with advantage because there's two.
Da-da-da-da. Me too. I'm looking around. I'm fucking terrified.
All right. So as you progress along this rather rickety rope bridge, Martos and Wits, you notice that something's kind of unnaturally shaking it. It's not just your own way.
Wits.
yeah.
Wits.
I just want to be clear. Draven's like on like all fours up under the bridge, like upside down, just kind of rocking it side to side slowly.
Tightly grasp with.
Don't worry, Matos. It's just Draven.
Two-hand hold. Two-hand hold.
All
Give me
right.
the
All
damn
right.
hand.
All right. All right. Come on.
Holly just sort of soars her way under the bridge and just says, "You're right down there, boss. I've never seen someone use the bottom of the bridge."
Oh yes, quite. I was just testing the durability. Quite a sturdy bridge you have here.
I guess
They'll,
so.
Climb back up.
I've never used him.
Charges.
Knocks Wits off the side.
Gotta go.
just. Oop.
I killed Wits. On accident.
Okay, guys. So I thought about it.
Me too.
Second jump off a cliff of the game.
Woo!
Well, guys, I heard from the Rinbars that there's some water in this forest, so there's a good chance that there's a bit of water at the bottom.
I see no water. Throw a rock down.
My God, logic.
Sorry, I
Let's
just had to.
explore
I just had to.
Listen, if you can hear the water, you're safe.
I can sense the water. It's near.
That's a lie. You're drunk with.
And so
Wits
you
goes
make
inside.
you make your way into the building before you, opening the sort of twin wooden doors. And for just a moment as you enter, you feel like you almost just teleported yourself back to the forest floor. As other than a wooden walkway in the center of this room, you're surrounded by dirt, grass, flowers, and trees, some of which bear fruit.
Great, more fruit.
Or Draven.
And as you walk, I need a real blooper. As you walk your way into the Dryad Gardens, you can see large windows that form sort of these skylights in the top of the ceiling that let these beams of light enter the gardens. And there's a line of sunflowers that sort of surround a shrine on your right side. It's the visage of a woman standing with her arms outstretched, and another young woman kind of kneels in front of it, clasping her hands in a sort of prayer. Though as you kind of examine the woman, she's a little bit unique than other people you've seen. Her hair and her clothing all seem to be made of plants. And even her skin looks as though it's not your traditional skin texture. But as you sort of take time to look at the gardens, your attention is immediately drawn to 3 dryads off to your left who were arguing loudly as you walked in. And then, as they notice your presence, you see them all just kind of turn towards you, all 3 of them staring at you. And then, for just a moment, they turn back and whisper to each other. And then all 3 of them begin to approach your group.
Hello there.
Greetings.
And as they approach, the one at the front just sort of looks each of you over. Hang on one sec. Gotta get out of the Pog Frog and back to my other screen. Alright, I should have opened this before, but we're good now. The sort of amber colored one with reds and oranges in her foliage marches her way up to the 4 of you and says, you're not from around here, right?
No.
What gave it away?
Not at all.
Just sort of not paying attention to anything you say, she just continues on, powering right through it and says, good. Then you're impartial judges.
Oh no.
All right.
Now listen, we've had this argument for... she just kind of see her quickly count on her fingers. It must be at least 12 years now. So settle it for us, will you?
Sure.
And the 3 of us just... the 3 of them just sort of line up so that you can see each of them. And then the middle one just looks at you and says, all right, settle the argument. Which of us is the most attractive?
No.
Do we have to choose one of you?
I've already chosen.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so you take a look at each of them. The one on your right has sort of lots of leafy green foliage, just sort of growing in every direction. Her hair is a wily mess, and she has sort of a necklace made of flowers. The one in the center has rather piercing eyes and amber and orange foliage like autumn. And then the one on your left has green and brown branches that grow these red berries along them. And they all just sort of stare at you, each flicking their gaze from one of you to the next, just patiently waiting for you to answer their question.
Joes.
Matos, you go first.
Yeah, I want to know what Matos thinks.
Middle one, you're out.
What?
It's so rude.
You can't be serious.
No, you're still very beautiful, but these 2 got you beat. Now the hard part is between these 2.
With Helibora here and her all green foliage? How dull. And the
First
reds.
off,
The
ma'am.
reds of the berries.
First
Of
off,
Tendelia's
ma'am,
foliage. They
you
don't even
all
match with the
match
rest.
Together. You mash together, and not a good type of mash. All right, my little pretty green lady here. She's all coherent. It looks nice. Color palettes, beautiful. Whoever grew you nicely. Now you.
It's called being vibrant. You should try it sometime. She storms
What
off.
the hell is that head? Cut your hair. Okay.
Excuse me.
Not you. You're beautiful. But you know what? She wins now. I was already drawn to the berries. Berries are the beautifulest. What y'all think?
Well, I suppose if I had to choose, I suppose she is the most beautiful, being that she has those little red berries that remind me of little delicious blood clots.
Oh. Okay. Yes.
The dryad that you sort of, I guess, rejected just kind of looks offended and says, "Excuse me, blood clots? That's why you choose her?"
Yes, well, you're too green. You remind me of a salad, and I hate those.
Oh.
I'll have you know this is all natural.
Yes, that's not making it any better.
It's very beautiful, but the bears, they just.
She looks angry.
Angie.
But she
Just
waits
wait.
for the other two to answer, hoping that there may at least be a draw.
The berries remind me of my berry stuff. I don't know anything about this sort of thing. I guess
Berry.
I'm going with her.
Ha ha ha. Berries. Wit, I don't count.
No comment.
Berries win.
With one last little huff, she kind of says, "Fine. I guess we've just come to the conclusion more so that you Outlanders have no taste." She storms off to be with the
No.
other.
I certainly don't have a taste for plants.
Well, I should have a taste, but I won't reveal.
No,
Oh
come
my.
on. That's a cop out.
And the one
Exactly.
that's the one that's still remaining, just kind of gives you a bit of an apologetic smile and says, "Listen, I'm sorry about my sisters. They can be a bit much."
It's quite alright.
But now that you've proven yourselves such arbiters of good taste, what exactly are you doing here?
Someone else's turn.
I forgot what we're doing here. I got distracted.
But we're here to look for some information on perhaps a woman who seems to be proficient in jumping between planes with some sort of fey magic.
Well, I can't say that I'm altogether familiar with that sort of thing. I know Cyrilla has more of a taste for the magical. You could talk to her, I suppose. She just points to the one over
Cyrilla?
here.
Oh, I hope it. Okay, thank God.
Oh.
Red hat lady. I just offended her.
Yeah, he looked at them all in 2 seconds and he said, "Not her."
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I would be offended too.
I stand by what I said.
Well then,
Scary.
and then I suppose you could talk to the Lord Regent. He's over with the satyrs. I suppose I should explain that since you're new here.
Alright, and you said her name was Cyrilla?
Yes, Cyrilla. I'm Dindilia, by the way.
So, Dendelia?
There you are.
Gotcha.
And listen, if you're looking for a place to stay, the Dryads do have some open availability. You know, the whole one with the tree thing leaves us with some empty rooms.
Alright, and we are looking for housing for a bit, so that would be appreciated.
Well, you can come back and talk to me if you need a place to stay.
All right, very well then. Thank you.
Is it in the same place as your sisters live?
Well, they go and merge with their trees when they sleep.
Okay.
Good luck with
I
the
don't wanna
Lord
get-
Regent.
Thank you.
Which is gonna cast message to Martos. Oh, keep it in your pants.
I cannot.
I really don't want to get murdered in my sleep by the scary red one.
See, that red one was scary and not pretty. She was kind of mean.
As Dindelia returns to her sisters, they just immediately lapse back into arguing.
They know who's prettier. They're just not ready to admit it.
You walk your way up sort of along these stepping stones through this garden here, next to these sunflowers that sort of bask in the light from the skylight. And the younger dryad just kind of kneeling and praying in the dirt in front of this statue just sort of opens one eye and turns towards you. Oh, hello, can I help you?
Yes, we heard you were proficient in magic.
I don't know if I'd say proficient, but I suppose I know more of it than some. She stands and begins to walk over towards you, and as you examine her, she looks kind of thinner, a little bit sickly. Some of her leaves in her hair have kind of a pale yellow to their edges. And as she kind of opened her eyes to look at you and walk towards you, you notice this sort of black liquid drip down from her eyes.
Are you all right there?
She just kind of, she notices what you're mentioning and just wipes some of it away and says, I apologize. Yes, I'm all right.
I'm sorry, that it's just from where we traveled from, we saw a affliction of black fungus on plants, and it just looks similar. Sorry.
Then I suppose you know what ails me.
I'm afraid I'm not entirely sure. Actually, that's one of the reasons we're here. We're looking for a woman who went by the name Beira, who appeared in, what was the name of that one town we went to? With the elves.
Sindriel.
Lysindriel. And shortly after, there was a epidemic of black mold that took over all the plant life in the area. And she also wants to kill us, but yeah, mold.
I see. Well, the black mold, it's afflicted my tree. Well, I suppose you're not fair folk. I should explain. Us dryads, when we're born, we're connected to a tree in the forest. And if the tree dies, we die.
My lovers.
And, well, my tree is afflicted. Hence what you can see here. That's why we've lost so many dryads lately. Every tree that dies is another dryad lost.
Oh, I never even considered that. That's horrible. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm still alive for the time being. I'd be happy to help you with anything you need. Again, my knowledge of the arcane is a little shallow, but I do know of the sun goddess.
Sun goddess?
Of course, Brava.
Oh, duh, yes, of course.
Ugh, brava.
We, dryads have a close relationship with the sun, I suppose you can imagine.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not sure if what we're looking at is related to Brava, but Beira was able to phase between planes, apparently.
I see. I have heard of something like that. I've not done it myself.
Do you know what... Oh, sorry.
You all should talk to the Lord Regent. I think that's probably your best bet.
Alright. Well, thank you anyway.
Though, word of warning, he can be a bit, grumpy, I suppose. Just put up with it. It won't do you any good to fight with him.
Okay, we'll be on our absolute best behavior. Right?
Thanks, Ed.
Looks at Martis. Right?
Mm-mm.
I'm sorry, what were we agreeing to?
Exactly.
Be nice to the grumpy king man.
As long as he's not grumpy with me, we'll be okay.
Oh no.
And as you
So
walk
mad.
away, she returns to her spot, kneeling on the dirt and praying in front of the statue.
Just imagining Holly over here pretending she's like flying like a World War II plane. It's going pew 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 like with the bat.
Yep.
Shooting down other bats.
Ready to move on?
Sure.
I imagine the Dryads have some empty space if you need a place to stay, with all the people they've lost.
Yeah, they said about as much.
Now let's see this market that you speak of.
All right, let's actually take a short little break.
Okay, good. I need tea.
So go get a drink, go grab a snack, go to the bathroom, do what you need to do, chat you as well, and in just a few minutes we will return with more Whispers in the Woods. BRB.
Hello there.
Hello?
When I went to get tea, one of the cats was guarding the fridge. So I gave him pets and then got tea.
All right, I am back, chat.
Welcome back.
We missing anybody?
Sybil here?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, we're all back.
Alrighty, we're all back.
No.
Oh, okay.
Type yes in the chat if you're not here.
They're all gone. Fuck.
You shouldn't have let them
Alright.
take a break. You should have made them stay and watch the continuous screen.
But then they wouldn't get to see our gorgeous BRB screen.
No, that's what I meant. Stay and watch the BRB stream and not go get a snack or anything.
Oh yeah, they have to stay. I've
Yeah,
chained them to
we
the
get
death.
we get a break, but they don't.
Yeah, my players get a break, but as for you, chat, I've cast hold person on all of you simultaneously. You're stuck here. I'm sorry. I'll release it when the stream ends. It's okay. All right.
No. Let's stay till next stream.
So Holly flutters along out in front of you as you continue your way out of the Dryad Gardens and off to another part of Upper Loft. You and your shuffled around portraits. Let me recopy you guys. There we go. That's better. Alright, so making your way out of the Dryad Gardens and along another walk of the rickety rope bridges high above the foliage. You see another building out in front of you, this time with almost sort of a ceramic tile to the roof. Its doors are wide open and you can see light coming from inside.
Do you need help again?
No, I'm holding Sybil and Draven's hand now. Two hands.
Okay.
Come here, guys.
This is Draven off the side.
Oh, I'll let go. I'll try to save you. I'll probably let go.
Martos, these bridges are quite sturdy. You don't
No,
have to
thank
be
you.
afraid.
No, thank you.
I know they're not, but that'd be funny if these were handles the whole time and just didn't know.
Oh god. It's not the same. They don't have protection. Yes.
I see hoof marks.
Oh god.
And
We
so
got a welcome mat.
as you make your way across this bridge, off to your right, sort of in this direction as you're walking across, you can see just through some gaps in the leaves of the trees, some red kind of glow. And Holly just kind of remarks as she flutters along beside you. Yeah, that's over there's the ant markets. That direction. And this is the Hall of the Cloven Hoof. And just kind of nods her head towards the carved hooves on the wooden platform in front of you.
Strange that you would craft a hall for livestock, but to each their own.
Don't say that while we're in here.
Oh fuck.
We're on a diplomatic mission. We don't want to get kicked out.
Ah, the negotiator.
And so as you walk your way into this large hall, you can see the carpet before you that stretches all the way across it is also kind of weaved with a pattern of hooves. And off to your left and right, you can see these massive, elegantly engraved keg barrels on either side, some of them tipped upwards, so tall that they need a ladder to reach the top. And as you gaze throughout the hall, you can see a few different figures trotting their way about, seemingly hard at work.
Wits, you must resist the urge.
Oh, don't worry, I'll be fine. I'm not an alcoholic or anything.
This is scratching already.
Not even past the first step.
Oh, if I was an alcoholic, I'd be drinking it right now.
So one of the satyrs, a younger satyr woman, is carrying sort of a bucket that sloshes with wine as she walks her way around. And she just kind of, sorry, just coming by. She kind of weaves her way through each of you. And then she kind of pauses for a moment, turns back to, your new faces?
Yes, we just recently arrived.
And is that little Holly?
Yes, well, what's left of her. We found her inside a large caterpillar.
Left of us, she's not dead.
Well, her
She's
wings
only half
messed up.
value. Yeah.
Well, she's not missing the wing.
Well, all right.
Poor girl, you should be back in Fairyhaven getting some rest. We don't often get visitors from non-fair folk. What exactly are y'all doing here?
Not causing trouble.
I
We
see.
wanted to speak with the regent about something.
All right. Is it something that would interest the region?
Probably seeing as it's potentially related to a person who's potentially related to the disease that's killing all the dryads. So,
I see. I suppose. I suppose that's probably important. Just one second. Let me speak with Bruna.
oh, okay.
And she kind of walks her way over behind one of the keg barrels. Draven, from your angle, you can kind of see a little better. She's talking to another one of the satyrs. And this satyr has weapons on her. She's holding a sword and shield. A guard of sorts. And the two of them just kind of talk quietly for a moment. And then both approach the group. So, you have business for the Lord Regent?
Indeed. Questions, primarily, regarding the safety of this place and of our own safety.
Alright, well, I believe he's in, so I can escort you in there, but no trouble, alright?
Of course.
Right. Gross.
Getting distracted again.
And the one satyr woman just kind of bustles her way along back to work as the older one leads you all off towards the door on the far side of the hall. Holly looks slightly uncomfortable as you approach and says, listen, I'd better wait out here.
That's all right. Take care.
You might want to land then.
Right. And she kind of steers the bat over to the top of this keg and perches herself on top of it.
See, not making trouble. I could have left that information out. Aren't you all proud of me?
Yeah, so
little
so
bit proud.
Yeah, we're very proud of you, Draven.
Listen, I'll just be out here if you need me after you're done, but I don't think I should go in there.
Do you guys have a
Alright.
bad relationship? I'm assuming so.
Just caused trouble in the past, and I think me being with you might send the wrong message.
Oh, okay.
With that.
All right, ready to go?
Sure.
Mostly. Yeah, mostly.
She opens the twin doors, above which you can see kind of on the wall above it is a carving of the moon. And it's carved from sort of a reddish cherry wood, giving it this red tinge.
Quite a nice carving.
The satyr who's leading you just kind of hears your remark and turns back. Aye, well, this is the Hall of the Blood Moon. And then continues to walk.
This place might be alright after all.
We'll see how good the place is when we see the market.
Yes, with all of 5 silver I have to spend, I'm sure it will be lovely.
Alright, so you follow the satyr through the twin doors and down a short hallway before arriving in a large open room. And this room has white tiles along its floor that contrast with the red rug, still with that cloven hoof pattern across it. On the far side, you can see foliage growing across the walls and a large carved wooden throne where another satyr sits, just kind of in a relaxed posture. Through several kind of square holes in the floor of this room, you can see the trunks of trees extend up through them. The leaves of each of these trees a very deep blood red. And from across the room, you just hear the satyr say, "Approach!" And then the other satyr just kind of nods her head to you all and says, "That means you." And she steps off to the side to allow the 4 of you to pass her. The man in the throne just sort of waits patiently for you all to approach him. Clearly not loving the idea of raising his voice again. And once you're close enough, he just sort of scans each of you, sort of carefully analyzing the 4, and says, "All right. What business do you 4 have here then?"
Martos, you should take the lead on this one.
No, no.
Yeah. So, we are here to investigate somebody named Beira who has a problem with the black fungus. I don't know if y'all are dealing with that on this side. The other side, they're dealing with that. Not sure if you're aware.
As you say Beira, you see his eyes kind of narrow slightly. And then they flick across to each of you again. But he allows you to continue, and as you continue and begin talking about the black mold in the forest, you just kind of see a very slow, small nod. Indeed, I do know of what you speak, but how exactly does it relate to you?
Turn to party, gesture hands.
You're doing
Um,
great. Just keep going.
They're trying to. The group she's a part of is trying to kill us. Why we don't know. I have this thing on my hand, and they want us dead because of it. We still don't know what the hell it is. If you know what this is, let me know. Also, I fell in love with one of your people back there, and I don't want her dead. So,
My people, one of the satyrs.
are you guys separate groups? I guess you're all separate groups. No, the berry bush. I'm in love with that berry bush back there. You see the berry bush yet?
All right, Armados, you did good. You can stop now.
It was a
I
good,
just want-
good go.
I just want to make
One
sure he
of
knows
the
about berry bush.
Dryads, I see. I am Lord Regent of Upper Loft, so I am in charge of all of the clans, though the clans do have some self-determinants as well. You now stand amongst Clan of the Cloven Hoof. That includes satyrs, centaurs, and fawns, but the Dryads do have their place here as of late. After all, half the forest is dying.
Have you found anything out about the mold? Are you looking into it as well?
We have indeed done our investigations. This hand, what do you speak of? Just kind of gesturing to his own hand as you sort of start to show it to him, Martos, and then stop to talk
sorry.
about your crush.
I got distracted. The berry bush is very berry, and woo. Anyway, hand this thing. Point. Hold hand out. Point at it. This thing.
Yes, step closer so I can see it, please.
I wasn't sure if I was allowed to, so I'm glad you said that.
You see him narrow his eyes once more and examine the mark on the back of your hand. And then you see him kind of stroke his chin for a second, a little bit lost in thought.
I'm gonna take that as my cue.
Well,
Step back.
I will be damned.
Oh shit.
I thought it not true, but I suppose there was truth to it after all. Not just the ramblings of some defunct elders. Alright, well, I suppose I've no choice now but to let you speak with them. They usually only converse with the Lord Regent, but I believe they will make an exception for you.
We in trouble? Hold hand out.
No, I don't believe they will place you in trouble. In fact, the opposite.
in
I believe
trouble?
they will be quite
Oh,
pleased
fuck.
to see you.
So you know what's happening with these then?
Only vaguely.
Oh, are they magic? We're also trying to find out about teleportation that Beira's doing. Y'all know anything about that as well?
Teleportation, you mean like a spell?
I have
No,
no
she
idea.
means
Plane shifting.
plane shifting. Yes.
Plane shifting. You know anything about that? You know Beira can do that shit?
Planewalker, I've heard that she's powerful and that does track with her reputation. Alright, this has risen beyond me. You shall have to speak with them. He just kind of, as he's kind of stares at you once more, he waves behind you, kind of signaling with his fingers for the other satyr to approach. Who approaches and gives him kind of a salute. And he looks past the four of you to say, these four will need to speak with the Summer Court. So they've been granted, and then he looks back at each of you, pauses for a moment, and says, temporary access to the court's chambers by order of the Lord Regent. And the satyr behind you just kind of is nodding. Yes, sire. Of course. Do you want me to escort them there now? Oh, sorry, that's not her voice. Do you want me to escort them there now? Completely forgot her voice because I was doing the Lord Regent. She's Scottish. And he just kind of looks across at the four of you and says, well, imagine if you're here, you've traveled a long way. Would you like to speak with them now or early tomorrow?
I feel great. What y'all think? Is it too late for them?
I feel great too. We have gotten into a total of 0 fights today. That's a recent record.
That is a record for us, yes.
Yeah, but what's the fun in that?
Well, as long as you are in Upper Loft, I hope you will leave that number at 0.
We're hoping to as well.
Of course.
Good. Now, I will warn you. Behave yourselves in the court's chambers. I will not tolerate any unsightly behavior.
Talking about you, Mardos.
Is cussing unsightly, sir?
A tad, yes.
Oh.
I would
I
curb
can't-
it while you stand within their chambers.
So yes, sir. Someone else got to talk. Every other word I say is a cuss word. Gives more bow.
Not it.
I'll do the talking.
Oh shit.
Okay.
Oh.
I see this will be interesting, to say the least. Well, the court's chambers are north of the Ent Markets. My guard will escort you there. Bruna,
Very well, Your Highness.
escort them when they're ready. Of course, Your Majesty.
Oh wait, was Beira here? Did you speak to Beira? You know Beira. Well,
Here.
Do you know what she was doing?
No,
Here?
she was not here.
Oh. You've just heard of her a-holeness. You guys see how I did that? You guys see that?
If Beira were here, I imagine you would not find any of us still alive.
Oh.
Not bad.
I shall bring you her head. As friendship.
There is a reason that Upper Loft is a hidden city.
Good reason. Good reason. So don't bring the head back.
Well, I would not turn down an offering of her head, though might be quite a task to take it.
If I find my way here with a head, I shall give it to you.
Very well.
Your Highness, before we part, could you tell us a bit about this blood moon?
Ah, of course. One unfamiliar with satyr culture would, of course, not know of it. The Blood Moon is a time, if you will, an event for satyrs. It is a celebration of sorts. If you've had or spent any time with satyrs, you would know they like their revelry, and the Blood Moon is when that revelry reaches its fever pitch, a time when the moon runs red.
Well, that sounds absolutely magnificent. Do you all drink blood during this time as well?
What?
There are many satyrs in the world, and I will not say that there isn't a satyr who has done so during the Blood Moon, though I do not personally partake in something like that. There is feasts with all sorts of food. There is dancing and drink through the entire night. It's a time of celebration for satyrs.
Well, it sounds quite fantastic.
I am sure you would not find a satyr who would argue otherwise.
All right. Well, I appreciate the information, Your Highness.
Indeed. Bruna, escort them to the chambers when they're ready. Of course. Right this way then.
Thank you, new friend.
And she begins to walk her way off back towards the twin doors, the entrance of the Hall of the Blood Moon. And leads you back to the Satyr's wine halls. Where Holly is waiting for you, perched atop the large keg. And upon seeing you all exit, says, alright, how'd it go?
They had me talk. It was
That was
great.
that was a
Hmm.
mistake.
It's not well then.
Better than expected.
I guess you could say that.
Professed my love for him.
All
Not
right.
for him, for Barry.
And what did he say? What are we doing next?
Apparently, we got a meeting with the very important elder people, and he thinks they'll be glad to see us.
The elders? Well, I guess I can't tell you much about that. I've never talked to them. I've never even seen them.
What? Who are the elders?
That's just what we call them. The elders. Only the Lord Regent is to talk with them.
Are they like Fae?
I mean,
Are they
probably.
really old Fae?
That's what I picture. I think there's one from each of the clans.
Okay. Well,
Guess we'll see for ourselves then.
Will you be joining us, Holly?
Am I allowed in?
are you allowed to?
Sure. Why not?
Only those who have been granted permission by the Lord Regent can enter the chambers.
Oh, no luck then.
She kind of puffs out her cheeks in a little bit of a pout. Alright, I guess I'll wait then.
I just put her in my pocket.
Martos, there's too much in your pockets already.
Can't
Yeah.
Draven put her in his
Yeah,
pocket.
It wouldn't be that pleasant for Holly in your pockets.
I do have poison in my pocket. Holly, you don't want to be in my pocket. I'm sorry, I tried.
She's climbing ladder.
The rungs of the ladders are quite far apart for her, so she's kind of like hopping from one to another. And then she just kind of walks away along the floor. But I'll come with you to the ant markets, though. It's on the way.
All right.
Alright. Hey, Jinx.
Summons up bat for Holly.
Alright, I'm sick of click dragging to bring her and the bat together, so I'm just gonna
Yeah. You
use
get
my imagination.
Invisible bat.
Alright, she hops aboard the bat and begins to flutter around once more, clearly preferring to take to the air. And the guard, Bruna, brings you over to these doors here. Just do the ant markets then.
Yeah. We can head wherever you want us to head.
Oops. Hit the
Oh.
wrong thing.
Oh,
I was trying to copy you and I hit paste.
I used a charge on my illusionist bracers.
There we go. Alright. Skip all the way past that and go right here. Alright, so you make your way through the two wooden doors and off along more of the rope bridges. Sorry, Martos.
I can't believe this.
With Holly floating along on her bat behind you all, and the satyr guard leading the way. And soon as you wind your way along the rope bridges, you see that same glowing red light as you approach, and then you see a large platform kind of nestled among several really large trees. And as you approach, you can see a bunch of stalls set up, and the source of the red light, which is a bunch of lanterns strung between the trees.
Oh, this is lovely.
Can we stop here before we go meet with the elders?
I suppose. Don't spend several hours here, but you can stop for a moment if you wish. I'll be waiting up to the north.
Alright then, thank you.
Come along, Martos.
I just fucking left me. What am I supposed to do? I got jelly legs.
What's the
Oh
walk?
no, I'm sorry. I forgot.
I don't forgive any of you. All of you are evil now.
They have a toy shop.
I don't want a fucking toy. I'm old.
It's worth a try.
My map still isn't loading in properly. Oh, there we go. Right as I say it.
Holly perches up on one of the strings of paper lanterns as you walk your way through the ant markets. There's several stalls set up, each run by a shopkeeper, some of them tiny, fairy sized, some of them a little bit larger. And all manner of different merchandise spread throughout the shops. The one off to your left appears to have small toys, stuffed rabbits and bears and dolls and sewn hand puppets. As well as... One second. A few other items kind of sitting on top of a crate back in her tent. And seeing you sort of eye them, she says, hello there. Is there something you're looking for? Looking to buy something?
Just browsing currently. What is it that you sell? Toys, perhaps?
I suppose you could call them that, yes. Entertainment for the younger ones and the younger at heart. I suppose that's rather common for Fae. But I also have a few other items that I suppose are a little more useful. I have enchantments on them, of course.
Would you mind showing me some of those items?
Of course, of course. And she just kind of grabs one of them and then places it, pushing a few of the puppets out of the way, places it on the counter. And what she places down is a carved wooden boomerang with sigils inscribed in it that you don't recognize, Draven.
And what is this?
Well, we call it a throwing club. You toss it and it comes back.
That's absurd. How would it do that?
Well, you gotta throw it really hard.
Yes, but if you throw something, it goes one way. How does it make sense that it comes back?
Let's go an enchantment on it, of course.
Draven looks at Wits. Wits, are there enchantments that do such a thing?
Well, you didn't think it came back based on wind currents or something like that, did you?
I don't know. Probably can. There's a lot of enchantments.
Alright. What else do you have?
Sybil, are you browsing the shop too, or are you off somewhere else?
No, I'm off somewhere else.
Okay.
Actually, I'm right over.
Then she places that down, leaves it on the table, and then moves on to the next item, which is a small carved wooden pipe for smoking.
And this, just a normal pipe, or do you throw it and it comes back to you?
No, if you throw it, I imagine it'll probably just break. So don't do that. But it also has an enchantment on it. You smoke the pipe, and then when you puff out the smoke, it forms shapes.
It forms shapes.
Yes, of course. Let me give you an example. I think I have several of them in here. She leaves the one that she's showing you on the table and grabs kind of another one from her storage, and then she takes a long puff from it, and then blows out the smoke towards you, which, as it leaves her mouth, forms itself into the shape of a dragon that just kind of gently flaps its wings toward you, and then dissipates as it reaches you. See?
Quite interesting. How much do you want for that?
Something like this would be 5 gold. You can do all sorts of shapes. You can do, a dragon. You could do a dog. You could do a rabbit. You could do a flumph. You could do a frog hemoth. You could do all sorts of things. Whatever your creativity allows.
This could be a cool bar trick for you.
How much was it?
Just 5 gold.
Well, we're not the richest of adventurers, so maybe if we have some left over, we can come pick up one driven.
All right. And these puppets you have, what is this one?
Well, I bought this off of a traveling satyr merchant. I believe it's some sort of nobleman. Look at his cape. Perhaps elven based on the ears?
Yes, it looks like a lunar elf to me.
Well,
Make sure you market it as that.
I suppose I could. I've not met many lunar elves myself. What?
Actually, how much do you want for it?
I would say a silver.
I'll take it.
All right, and she hands you the nobleman puppet. There you are. Thanks for the coin.
Certainly. No, I'm going to go around and take a look at everything else with my companions. You have a nice day, Miss. What was it?
Well, there was one more enchanted item if you were interested.
All right.
All right. And then she kind of ruffles around in her crates back there and lays a small wooden wand with small little kind of runic inscriptions along the hilt of it. And she has 2 of them, but she places one on the table for you to examine and then says, this one would perhaps be a little bit easier to just demonstrate.
Go ahead.
It has to be on a willing candidate, otherwise it's a little more difficult. Are you a willing candidate?
Certainly not. Martos! Martos!
Huh? What?
There's something special over here.
Well, they're toys. What?
Yes, well... Come.
What is it?
Well, it's a wand. I was going to demonstrate its purpose. To you, and I need a candidate to demonstrate it. I think it's a little more telling than just explaining it. I needed a willing candidate, but your friend here said that he was not. So that was why he called you.
That pussy's a pussy. Hit me with it.
All right. Then you're going to feel a little bit of a tingle of magic. Just let it happen.
Okay.
And then she, with a flick of the wand, she then points it right at you. And Draven, you just see Martos all of a sudden beam with a huge smile.
Do I look good? What happened?
Yeah. You should reverse that magic post haste.
Try
What's wrong?
try as you might, Martos, you cannot stop yourself from smiling.
My
That's
fucking-
horrifying.
My teeth hurt.
Well, that's a minute. So you'll have to
So
hold
I'll
on for a
be like
moment.
this for a minute?
Yes.
What the fuck? Okay, thank you. I'm gonna go out and fucking scaring children, I guess.
So that's the purpose. We call them wands of smiles.
Yes, dark magic indeed. Well, thank you for the demonstration.
Of course.
If I would like to purchase something else, I will make sure to come back.
Yes, of course. Come right back.
All right. And Draven will depart and jump to someone else.
All right.
Oh, hello.
Did I look scary or good?
Ah, you look scary.
Ah, fuck.
Stop making that face.
I wish I could.
Okay.
I'm in a great fucking mood, I guess.
Sybil, the stall that you approach has a bunch of wine glasses laid across it and a little basket of grapes and a large keg sitting next to it.
Hello.
Hello there. You can call me Selena.
Selena. Okay then. I'm sorry if this is a bit strange, but I
Yes?
was wondering if perhaps you have this bowl of grapes here, right?
Indeed.
Would you accept a special kind of grape for gold, or maybe in exchange for a glass of this, I suppose?
We could do a trade, but I could also buy them off you. What sort of grapes? Is it
Sybil's gonna.
these ones? She just kind of points at your staff.
I don't think so. Oh yeah. Oh yes, these. Sorry. Yeah. So she's gonna take one off her staff and pass it to her.
It sort of looks like a good berry, but not quite. A little bit different, a little bigger.
They are alcoholic good berries.
Really? Even before the winemaking process. Now that's certainly interesting. Where did you come across something like that?
I found the staff in a shrine to the wildflower, I believe it was. And every morning it produces 5 of these good berries.
Interesting. Well, good berries do make good wine. I'm not sure what something like this would make. Good berries have quite a bit of juice in them, you see, so small amount of good berries makes quite a lot of wine. I suppose I could try and craft a wine with your berries, though not particularly sure what it would come up with, though I am curious to find out.
Well, I have 5 of them, including that one. How much do you think you could give me for them?
Well, it is rather rare. I suppose I could start with 4 gold each. How does that sound?
20. Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
You can make persuasion rolls if you want. Just like to
I
remind
don't
people
think
that
she would.
it's the number. If you feel your character wouldn't, that's fine. I just like to remind players because that's like the number one thing they forget is haggling every campaign.
Yeah. Honestly,
Should I
I think
haggle for you?
I think Sybil takes to haggling like a freaking, I don't know, cow to flying. So, yeah.
Very well. Yeah, of course. I just
20
wanted to add that just in case because I know that people forget it a lot. She says, "All right then. 4 gold each and 5 of them. I'll give you 20 gold for it."
All right. Thank you.
You pluck the alcoholic good berries off your staff and hand them to her, and she exchanges a small pile of coins, slides them across the table to you, says, "Here you are then."
All right. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. It's rock, guys. I just had my own money-making scheme.
Oh, well, what'd you do?
I made 20 gold
Well, how?
selling berries.
Well, that's not really a scheme. That's just selling berries. I mean, did you tell them there were like some kind of god berries that are just everlasting?
No, no, I told her what they did, and she asked for 4 gold for each of them, and I got 20 gold.
Oh, 20 gold? Oh, Sybil, you could have gotten 40 out of that.
What?
Yes, Sybil, that's literally just a transaction.
Well, still, good job being resourceful nonetheless.
I could have gotten 40 gold? You can do
Well,
that?
well, of course. You persuasive enough.
Next time I'm gonna make you sell the berries.
Oh, what the? Oh, hello there, little fella.
A small little myconid fellow wanders his way along the stall or the table here that you approach, and just kind of looks up at you, Wits, who's your closest, and just kind of makes small little squeaking noises, kind of like a mouse.
Oh, well, how are you? And he'll kind of just like stick his finger out like he's about to like pet it or something.
You talk to it, but it doesn't respond. It just sort of allows you to pet it if you wish. But from behind it, you can see eyes open and a mouth as well, as the massive tree that sort of overlooks the entire markets begins to speak and says, "You know, the little myconids, they can't speak."
Ah, well, I see that now. I've never met one before.
I don't recognize the 4 of you. Are you new here?
Why, yes, we are.
I see. Well, welcome to my market. You may make yourselves at home and purchase what you wish, as long as you have the gold to pay for it, of course.
Of course, of course. Say, would you be able to tell me what wares are before me here?
This is my stall where I overlook the rest of the markets. I don't sell items here. One of his branches just kind of leans its way down, and a tiny little branch with a leaf on the end of it just sort of hooks the glasses and brings them all the way back up to the trunk of the tree, where it places them delicately on the nose of the old ent. He says, "I watch over my merchants to ensure that no harm comes to them and that they are selling at a good price, of course. But I don't sell anything at this particular stall, if you're wondering, and the little myconids are my assistants."
Oh, okay. Well, I see.
But I can tell you about the market if you wish.
Oh, why, sure.
Alright, let's scroll out a little bit. Well, over in that corner over there is Nectarine's shop. She sells little toys and trinkets, some magically enchanted. The sprites enjoy her shop quite a bit.
Sounds like it.
Over here is Tiger Lily's stall, where she sells all manner of tea, some with magical effects when they are imbibed. Simply follow the steam and you will find her shop waiting. Now then, in the far corner is Selena, and she sells the wine that the satyrs make in their wine halls. Next, of course, with the yellow-roofed tent, is Rain, the little fairy. She sells rarities at her shop, items that fair folk have found from around the land that have magical purposes. So if you seek all manner of odd items, look no further than Rain's Rarities. And lastly, the little sprite under the green tent sells clothing, and I believe a bit of armor as well. That sprite is named Florian, if you wish to introduce yourself. And I believe Florian has added magical items to their merchandise as well. Though if you wish for a custom order, she can do so as well. You would simply need to give her a bit of time.
Oh, okay. I see. Well, thank you, sir. That's very helpful.
A pleasure to meet you four. Enjoy yourselves in my market.
Amatus, I'm sure you'll need some armor of some sort, so might as well go talk to this lady down here.
My face is still fucking stupid, guys.
I would say more than a minute has passed.
Yeah.
Thank the Lord. I'm like, I can't have no one see me. I look scary.
Oh,
Hands on table.
Can I get some?
Witch is gonna cast message to Mardos. Let me do the talking. Hello there, miss.
A little sprite flutters away towards you. Her hair is made of sort of purple flowers. And she says,
She's cute.
"Hello there. Are you looking for anything in particular, or browsing?"
Well, that's a lovely tree up there. Told us that you sell clothing, armor, and magical items.
Of course. Mr. Alderlock does love to introduce his markets, so I'm sure he's happy that you spoke with him.
Yes, it was quite a nice introduction on his part. Let's see. What kind of armor do you have?
Well, currently we have this, and she rifles around behind her to grab armor that appears to be made entirely of leaves. I'm calling it an ivy hauberk. These tiny leaves are as hard as any steel you'll find, and she kind of knocks against them, and you hear them clang rather than just sort of tap, and provide a good amount of protection. But they also have a little enchantment on them as well.
Oh, what might that be?
Well, while wearing the armor, it allows you to cast a specific druidic magic known as Tree Stride.
I see. Well, I personally don't do much druidic magic, but my friend down here does, so she may be
Really?
yes, yes,
interested.
yes.
Well,
What's Tree Stride?
if you like druidic magic, then perhaps you ought to stop by Nectarine's shop as well. I believe she just got in something that also entails that.
Alright, then we'll stop there next.
And she points, of course, across the market when she's talking to the toy shop over there.
Okay. What would you say Tree Stride is? I'm sorry, I'm not super knowledgeable about different spells.
This armor in particular has, I suppose you could say, time it needs to recharge, I suppose, once using this ability, but you are able to use it in between those periods. And essentially, Tree Stride is useful for one who finds themselves in forests. It's hard to explain. You walk by a tree. You turn into a tree and you walk. Well, while you're next to one tree, casting this magic will allow you to, like the dryads do, melt into the tree, I suppose, sort of be one with it and exit from another tree, if that makes sense.
That is cool. Is there a distance limit between how trees you can go through?
It is approximately, I think, 500 feet.
That is fantastic. Oh my gosh. Oh, would you say this is heavy armor though?
No, it's designed for you. You're good.
How much does this weigh or cost?
Well, currently I have it priced at 100 gold.
Hmm. Oh.
Well,
Sybil, I'll throw in a bit to aid you. I have 3 silver you can have.
Thank you very
Well-
much for your
well,
generous donation.
we appreciate the sentiment,
Uh,
Raven.
I can also put it on hold if you want to look around the markets a little bit more.
Yes, that might be more desirable.
You won't need to make your decision right now. I can hold it for you. Make sure no one else snaps it up, though I imagine only really the Dryads and the Satyrs would be interested, as it will really only fit them. And, well, the Dryads, they can already know. She kind of rattles on about that as she talks.
Okay. Do you have any other armors? Something for, and he's like pats the back of Morris. Something for this fella here.
Well, armor, not particularly. We don't steel work here exactly. It's not a forge. But I do have this shroud here. And she holds up a long cloak that is sort of sewn and designed to look like it's made from feathers. And the hood of the cloak is sort of horned like an owl. This is the Great Owl's shroud.
Here
Do
then.
you think it will fit over my mask? I can't take away from my mask.
I suppose,
Well-
though, I don't believe you need to have the hood up exactly for it to work.
Well, what does it do? Is there any special enchantments on it?
Yes, while wearing it, it'll allow you to, well, much like flying folk, the owls, stop yourself from cascading to a horrible death. A feather fall, if you wish.
Oh, that's perfect for my friend here. She's afraid of heights.
Deathly. But I jump into holes.
She has jumped down a hole and nearly died.
Paradox. Yes.
And then we do have one more item, other than our more mundane clothing, as well as the custom orders, of course. I do have another enchanted item as well.
Alrighty, what be it?
Well, this is, and she holds up a small little bracelet that has these sort of charms on it that dangle from it, and each of the charms is shaped like an egg. And it currently has 2 charms on it. And she says, this is a fairy dragon bracelet.
Okay, I see. I've never seen one of those before.
Well, if you pluck off one of the charms, I won't do it now because I don't want to waste anything. You pluck off one of the charms and then toss it. Then it summons a fairy dragon.
I see, I see. And how much would it take for you to be willing to part with such an item?
Well, this one is 40 gold right now.
I see. Alright then. Well, if that's all of your enchanted items, we certainly have a lot to think about as we explore the market.
Of course, of course. Come on back if you decide to purchase anything. I'll be here.
Of course, thank you.
Wave.
Gotta start saving up money.
What the fuck is it?
Speak for
Fairy
yourself.
dragon.
Speak for yourself. We're just
It's
gonna bought
fairy
that.
dragon.
We're just gonna bought that bracelet right now if you want to.
Martos, did you just say wave instead of waving?
Wave.
It's like a
Go on.
jelly cap.
I love jelly.
We're supposed to see what's up with these rare items.
The rarities. The little fairy behind the shop says, hello there. Can I help you?
Ah, yes, we're adventurers and explorers that have come across your nice city. I'd like to see what your wares are today.
I see, I see. I can give you an explanation if you'd like.
Of course.
All right, well, right in front of me right here, you see these candles?
Yes.
Well, we call them cerulean candles.
Okay.
So you examine their blue wax with sort of these golden seals along it, decorative. And he says, all you need to do is light one, usually with the intention of going to sleep. And they will sort of alter your dreams, if you will.
Wait, can you say that again?
Well, they alter your dreams.
Oh, alter. I thought you said null, and I was like, oh, okay. Oh, so they alter your dreams. Hey, Sibylla, you want one of these?
Oh, it depends on how much they cost. I really don't like the hand monster nightmares.
It's 10 gold for a candle.
We'd have
Well,
to
that
think
is
about that one.
1/10 of sick leaf armor, so might have to pass up.
What else do you have?
Well, next is this, and she kind of strains a little bit because it's heavy for her, fluttering her wings a little harder to bring a stone-carved statue and sort of thump it down on the wooden desk in front of her. And it is a carved stone totem covered in a little bit of moss in the shape of a bullfrog. And she says, this is a bullfrog totem. I imagine if you've been wandering the woods, then maybe you've come across quite a few rather unpleasant insects, mosquitoes perhaps.
Ah, yes, certainly.
Well, a bullfrog totem like this, it creates sort of a boundary, warding off all mosquitoes and biting insects in the area. Perfect for those going camping.
Ah, I see. That'd been very useful when we were down in the swamp a few weeks ago.
And next, we have a clover like this. And she shows you this four-leafed clover. Now, we call these luck leaves, and carrying them on you is said to, well, increase your luck.
Is it like a magical increase, or is it just like a religious belief?
Well, most folk think that they do have some sort of magical effect because once you carry it on you, and then perhaps something particularly lucky occurs, they notice that the leaf has wilted away after. And so they think that perhaps there was some sort of magical effect there.
I see.
So basically, it does have an actual mechanical thing. She just can't really explain it because she doesn't know what dice are.
Oh, okay.
And it is a thing that you actually choose. It's not just some random thing that I do to you.
Okay. I'd say, is it just a Uno reverse card?
Not quite. It's similar to the lucky thing that halflings have.
Okay. So, anything else?
Of course, of course. We got one more thing here. And she holds up sort of a small little parcel. And then she kind of opens it. It's a little pouch. And just kind of holds the contents for you to see. This right here is pixie dust.
See.
It's enough for one person in a parcel like this. All you need to do is sprinkle it over yourself. And for, well, a rather short time, you'll be able to fly like we do.
Interesting. Interesting.
And this would be 25 gold.
Well, Mr. Otterlock was right when he said you do have some rare items.
Indeed, you won't find things like this in any old shop in any city.
Well, unfortunately, we haven't really been in a big city with lots of shops in quite a long time. but certainly a good refresher.
So
As,
anything in
as
particular
a-
catch your eye?
How much would that clover be?
Well, for one of the clovers, it's 10 gold.
All right, and how about the bullfrog?
Bullfrog totem is 10 gold as well.
All right, well, we'll certainly have to think about it. We'll be here for quite some time. So we may be back.
Of course, my shop will be here. From time to time, I get new things, but this is what I've got to offer for now.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Very well, take care. Come on back if you decide to buy something.
Of course. All right. Whoops, I just clicked the wrong thing. All right. Well, I suppose we can purchase whatever we would like after we pay the elders a visit.
You're meeting with the elders.
Yes. We received order from. I don't remember his name.
The Lord Regent?
Yeah, him.
You never asked his name.
Oh. Well, I know they mentioned it a few times. Like Holly did.
I never said his name.
What didn't Holly
Yeah,
say?
it's not in my notes.
Oh. Never mind then.
Well, I suppose you have special permission from the Lord Regent then.
Yes. Yes, we do.
It's a rare thing indeed, cherish that.
All right, well, we best get going.
Of course, I won't waste any more of your time. Come on back.
Of course. All right, guys, are we ready to go?
Indeed.
Now let's go.
Alright, just give me 2 seconds. I need to go grab something.
Sure.
I will be right back.
I'll be right back too.
Yes, Martos, I will hold your hand this time.
Thank you. Don't leave me. Handhold.
Begrudging handhold.
I do the little thumb rub. I'm gonna make it weird.
No, don't do that.
Thumb rub.
Ugh.
String. Okay, now you thumb rub me.
I most certainly will not.
That's just fucking rude. I thumb rubbed you.
Alright, fine. Thumb rub.
I am like a mom kitten right now.
I returned.
Ah, I returned too.
Welcome back.
Good timing.
I'm here.
Okay. So, the four of you finished your browsing through the Antimarkets. Make your way down the northern rope bridge to where Bruno is waiting for you. I think you could probably figure out the spelling of her name, but I'll give it to you anyway. There you go. And she's just kind of casually waiting for you on the rope bridge and says, "All right, ready to go?"
Ah, yes, we're ready.
Mardos?
Ominous silence.
You weren't supposed to cast Hold Person on us.
She may have went to do something while we were BRB, so we should probably wait for her.
Yeah, I did in character promise her I'd hold her hand across the bridge, so
Happening.
She's just scared right now.
We're talking about me. Yes. Hold hand.
We were just waiting because we thought you might be gone.
Oh.
come along, Martos.
Do the thumb rub.
Yeah, I did it already. Don't make
I
me
need
do
to
it
get-
again.
I need to get. We're going over the high part.
All right. Thumb rub.
Isn't the whole part a high part?
The higher.
Indeed, as you make your way along this rope bridge, it actually does slope upwards. You are ascending in height. And
I don't think I can catch you if you fall backwards. You're,
Oh, other hand.
no offense, really big.
I am big.
And we should have bought the cloak for her already.
As you sort of look up at where you're headed, the bridge itself almost kind of passes between thick clumps of leaves, and it's kind of obscuring your vision. And as you walk, you just feel like you're going higher and higher, impossibly high. You feel like you would have reached the top of the trees already. And then you see Bruna just sort of pull something out of her armor and just sort of hold it up. It's a small little wooden key. And then you see it just kind of glint slightly with a glow. And then as you continue to follow her, she tucks it away again. And then finally, as you walk, you see the trees part and stand on another platform. Let me just check something. Chat, you don't want to see this either. Streamlabs don't crash. Sometimes you like to crash when I go to the DM screen. Don't do it. Okay, we're all good. All right. So, as you walk, Holly is perched on the lanterns.
Oh,
She came with you to the ant market. She was just waiting up on the string of lanterns.
You know, I
I
just didn't know if
forgot
she was
about
still
that.
on the bat or not. I didn't want her to just suddenly fall.
All right. So you stand now up on a high wooden platform. Still surrounded by leaves and trees and more of those red lanterns. And Bruno leads you up onto the platform and then just kind of stands off to the side and says, "All right, well, here we are."
where are they?
Well, don't ask me. I'm gone for the next part. I have to leave.
Oh,
Usually just the Lord Regent talks to them. So, go ahead.
Matos, are you alright? I know we're high up, but just don't look down.
I looked down.
You are very high up.
I looked down.
I told you not to look down.
Draven, I need you to cover my eyes and then walk for me.
Yeah. Just hold on tight. Draven's just gonna try to drag her towards.
Drift here.
You're so much stronger than I am.
Bruno will actually attempt to assist you. All right, now just this way, a little bit further. There's a platform up ahead.
Oh,
You-
Bruno, you are
Baby
such a
half orc
boy.
steps. Baby
Yeah.
half orc steps.
You have such soothing voices. Thank
Are
you.
those smaller than baby orc seps?
Yes. Baby orcs are like the size of your decap. And then some.
All right, then. Good luck, I suppose.
Thank you.
And she walks her way back down the platform, disappearing amongst the clumps of leaves, leaving you alone on a wooden platform perched high up in the trees. And the planks below your feet, they groan slightly as you walk across them. And 5 stone platforms sit along the wooden surface. But other than that, the space around you is empty, but for fireflies flittering through the trees.
I suppose we wait for them, or
Yeah, well, they are old. Perhaps it takes them a moment to arrive.
yeah, maybe we approach or something.
Was it? Is it disrespectful to stand on the circle?
I would assume so, Martus.
You just claim ignorance if it is.
Wits,
okay, we're doing that.
Wits, can you make an intelligence save for me?
Boy,
I just stood on it. Fuck.
A memory check?
a memory check. 16.
You feel like you've stood here before.
Wait. Is this? This isn't
Yes,
the.
we're already waiting, Wits.
This isn't the dream from like 20 sessions ago, almost, right?
The vision from the
Not the
swamp.
dream. Yeah, the vision.
Indeed, it does feel quite familiar, and that is why. Though you remember you were standing a little farther forward on a stone platform.
gonna slowly get up on this platform.
If he can stand on it, can I stand on mine?
Yeah, okay, I guess it's safe. They're not
Woo!
gonna explode in Hunger Games.
Oh.
Guess I'll stand on one too. Where's... Is there supposed to be a fifth person?
Join the Stone Games.
The Draven, go stand on that one.
Join.
Yes, all right.
Well, there actually is a fifth person.
What? Oh. Oh.
Was a fifth person.
I have an idea.
Well, before you do anything, as the four
Oh.
of you stand on the stone platforms, the sigils on the backs of your hands begin to glow. And
This has bad juju.
as you look down at your hand to examine the sigil, you notice even further down, below your feet, something carves itself into the stone. And as you take a moment to watch for what carves itself there, you see the very same sigil on the back of your hand carve itself across the stone in small indentations. And as the symbol appears beneath your feet, that same familiar feeling hits you, Wits. Around you is the rustle of branches and the rush of leaves as the wind passes through them. You focus on the sound. Your focus on the sounds is interrupted as you become suddenly aware that you're not alone. Something watches from beyond the branches. You're only able to entertain this thought for a brief moment before suddenly 5 figures materialize before you. And these 5 figures, they shimmer slightly, almost blurred at the edges, like after images, as though they don't still stand here, as they don't stand before you, but are still slightly tangible. And then they sharpen, hovering in the air before you. The first of which, on the far left, is massive, much larger than the others, and you're really only able to see his face in the image. His face is made from bark, his skin, and his beard is a mass of ivy and vines, twigs cascading down his chin. The next figure is almost entirely white, pale in every regard, from her hair to her skin, to even the antlers on top of her head. She appears to be vaguely satyr in origin, and her forlorn expression gives the impression that she was just recently crying. On the center of her head is a small crown with a blood-red gem in the center of it. The next figure, at the center, of the five is stately, regal, and noble. He carries himself with a very upright position, almost looking down on the trees below him. His crown and his long robes are formed from petals, and he carries with him a tall staff. To the right of him is another female, and she bears the features of a delicate monarch butterfly. Her expression is calming and gentle, yet marked with subtle hints of exhaustion. And the last figure bears a twisted crown of branches, her clothing melding into her skin as leaves and twigs. Her white hair has flowers growing in every direction. Her visage strikes you as resplendent and beautiful, but then you notice, down toward her feet, she bears blackened scars of tenebrous mold that stretch up to her knees. And Wits, it occurs to you that these were the 5 figures you saw in your vision, though now much sharper, and you are able to make them out. And for a moment, they gaze down at you, and then one of them begins to speak. The ant on the far left. And he says, "Ah, I told you they would arrive. We only needed to be patient." And the one in the middle looks down at you, Wits, and says, "You all bear the sigil, though one is missing. How did that occur?"
We don't know. We never met her.
Well, unfortunately, she is dead.
I see. Then the faded presence that Laurelena felt was indeed not just a passing sensation. 4 of you remain. We shall have to pray that that is enough. Please, introduce yourselves and we shall do so in turn.
My name is Wits.
I am Draven Duskmore.
I see. And the next one.
I'm Sybil Vignori.
And the last.
I'm Martos. Friendly wave.
I see. Then our introductions are in order as well. We make up Summer Court. I myself am Thersiasis, God King of the Sprites. He says so with a rather satisfied look on his face. I will pass it to my other court members to introduce themselves as well. The monarch butterfly patterned woman steps forward, and Sybil, you get sort of a vague sense of familiarity. You don't recognize her, but you feel as though you've seen her silhouette somewhere. And she introduces herself in a rather sort of delicate voice, almost shy, and says, I am Pyrosia. I am the queen of the fairies, steward of the slumbering palace. And then just sort of drifts back into line. And then next to drift forward is the woman who resembles a dryad, who drifts a little bit forward. She looks kind of frail slightly, as if she's sort of wasting away, and says, oh, these other boars are all about proceedings and order. Let me introduce myself. I am Laura Lena. I'm the mother of dryads. It is nice to finally meet you four. And then from the far side, the large ant speaks and says, and I am Nisandil, Lord of the Ants. The last figure doesn't introduce herself and just sort of sits there and waits as the other four turn towards her, just sort of expectantly waiting. And then with a rather forlorn expression says, I suppose I am last. I am Amarantha, the Lady of the Cloven Hoof, and the Blood Moon, of course. And the ant begins to speak again, though he speaks a little slower than the others, and says, now then, now that we have introduced one another, I suppose the topic at hand is why you're all here. You see, you bear our sigil, a symbol of the Summer Court. And in the past, when things threaten the peace of the fair folk, we have chosen champions for our cause. And to be frank, no time has been as dire as now. You may see us as ghostly after images, and it is because our power wanes, dropping from us like leaves in autumn. You can see it most strongly on Laura Lena. You see something saps our strength. The middle figure, Thersiasis, speaks again and says, indeed, the black mold. Imagine if you've wandered these woods, you're familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, we have seen it spreading.
Well, that is indeed the source of our problems, but further than that, the one who causes it. Have you heard her name as well?
Bera?
I assume Bera is her name.
Long ago, Beira, you sense sort of frustration in his voice, was a member of the Gloaming Court, our counterpart, though we did not see eye to eye. This resulted in a conflict in which lives were lost. A battle between the fair folk and the unseelie, as they are called. Now, we came out victorious of that conflict, though Beira survived. And since, she has lived in secret, seeking revenge. And so, she has almost found it. Hundreds of years later. Something saps us, poisoning us in our very veins. We feel our strength wane. Laura Lena, the mother of Dryads, speaks up, taking over for Thersiasis, and says, "Something is killing my Dryads, and well, harming all the creatures of the forest, and I don't think it's going to stop at just me." She gestures down towards her legs, which are being consumed by this black mold. As the forest dies, and Kael Taihera dies, so too do I. So you see, we must stop Beira. Our champions of old have long since disappeared.
Pardon. Champions of old. Do you mean ones that once stood in our place with the same marking?
The Ent speaks up. Indeed, we have had champions in the past. Hundreds of years ago.
All right, that answered my second question. I was just wondering how many champions you go through and how quickly.
We had hoped no more would be needed, but we were wrong. Though, this time, with our strength gone from us, we were unable to contact you, to form a connection.
I'm guessing that's where Mr. Kriegwood came in.
Indeed, there was one who sought the marking.
Is he related to your court, or was he just caught up in the middle of all this?
He was an act of divine intervention, if you will. A coincidence turned to something greater. And we imagine he's the reason you stand before us, though it does surprise me to not see him here as well.
Unfortunately, one of Beira's goons got him, and he is gone.
I see. And she knows of your existence. It is worse than we thought. You see, she can poison us, sap our strength, but she cannot reach you. And that is why we need the four of you. You see, Beira alone could not reach this amount of strength in only a few centuries, we imagined her recovery would take far longer. And we suspect, as he kind of pauses, Pyrosia drifts forward and says, well, we suspect
Yeah?
that something more sinister may be supporting her. Something not of this world and not of the Feywild. Her strength grows too fast. This black mold, this is not naturally occurring. Something supports her. You see, I am steward of the Slumbering Palace. It is a castle in the Feywild where those who are lost eventually find themselves. But recently, as of late, I find myself a stranger in the castle I am steward to. Something else stalks the halls. Something I am unfamiliar with. And it strikes fear even in myself. I feel myself detached from it. Detached from the dream. And something else lurks deep within it.
Uh, Sybil, did you not mention something to us about dreams a while
Hands.
back?
Oh, it's the hand thing. What'd you say about the Slumbering Palace being a place that those who are lost go to?
Yes, those lost in the Feywild eventually find their way there. And those connected to the dream, and she kind of trails off and then stares kind of directly at you, Sybil. You're a dreamwalker.
Hmm?
Then
I've been there before, though. I've never seen you.
you've seen the palace. This is interesting. This is good news. I've not met another dreamer in quite some time. I am glad that I am able to meet you.
You too.
The God King of the Sprites, Thersiasis, interrupts and says, now then, to business. Beira lurks with whoever aids her somewhere in the Feywild. It's where her poison stems from. We need the four of you to seek her out and put an end to her tenebrous mold.
All right.
And should the opportunity present itself, an end to Beira as well.
Hmm.
And if we do this, what will happen to us in return? Will we be enlisted in your service as champions for eternity? Or will we receive freedom?
Eternity, you are not prisoners. If any of the four of you wish to leave, you may do so.
Well, we've gotten this far, and I suppose it's alright if we see it through.
But the four of you are called here by a higher purpose, not even by us five. And this meeting is important. Should we let Beira succeed, she will not stop at Kiltaihera. She is not so humble.
Then she must be stopped.
Well, if she is so powerful, then how do we know we are strong enough to take her?
That is the difficulty. You must find her and put an end to the mold. And if you feel yourselves capable, take her on yourselves. But it is not the priority. The mold must be stopped. If Beira continues to exist, we shall fight her another day. For now, just the mold will suffice.
Said that Beira has extra assistants, right?
Indeed.
And
Pyrosia floats forward again and says, I do not think them assistants. If you speak of the presence that supports her, it might be beyond even her.
Ugh.
what do you mean by that?
Well, Beira was weakened from the war. She should not be nearly as strong as she is. She should be almost mortal. She should not be able to corrupt the forest in this manner. Whatever is aiding her may outmatch even her.
Oh, okay.
But you are correct. She will have Unseelie with her. I suppose you could say a mirror of the fair folk, sinister fae, those with ill intentions in mind. And you should exercise caution around them as well. The Ent speaks up once more and says, Now then, to the matter of finding her. My trees, they whisper of dark shadows to the northwest. You see, the Whisperweald holds a connection to the Feywild. Think of it as where the boundary between planes is thinnest. And to the northwest is a patch of the Whisperweald called the Thornwoods. My trees whisper of shadows in the Thornwoods. In fact, the Lord Regent, you must have met, sent satyrs from Revelridge to investigate They never returned.
You know, that's the sort of information you could leave out when sending another group in. Just saying.
I understand, but we wish you to be prepared for the perils you may face. In regard to slipping the veil, plain walking, we are of the opinion that it will be far easier for you to first locate the area, then walk between planes, rather than walking between planes and then attempting to navigate the Feywild. If you found the Whisperweald confusing, the Feywild is far, far worse. The one who hasn't spoken yet, the one who is rather quiet, Amarantha, actually chimes in here and says, actually, I may be some aid in that manner. Tell me, do you know of fairy circles?
Would we?
Me.
I can't remember if we've been told about that by any fairies.
I feel like we were told about fairy circles, but I don't remember.
Ilsevel vaguely talked about them when she was trying to help you guys meet the spirit of the forest.
I remember, yeah. Vaguely.
Well, fair folk use fairy circles to slip the veil, to cross between planes. Now, I cannot imagine such a thing already exists within the Thornwoods, so you shall have to create one. It would allow you to travel into the reflection, if you will, of the Thornwoods, known as the Briar Maze. It is from there that we feel Beira's corruption most strongly. I have left with the Lord Regent on one of his prior visits a small pouch, a powder. Sprinkling it will aid in the growth of mushrooms and plants. You must create a fairy circle in the Thornwoods. Find a clearing circular at noontime, and that will let you slip the veil into the Briar Maze. I guess no questions.
Oh, sorry, I was taking notes.
Yeah, I figured. I was just kidding.
Yeah, I see. And once we are inside, we should head. Where did you say?
Well, once you are inside, you will know the path.
All right.
But before you set off, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
What dangers might we encounter in this Feywild?
Well, all manner of creatures not of your world, and unseelie, of course. I would advise you to be ready for your journey, well rested, prepared.
You mentioned this unseemly a few times. What are those?
All manner of fey of ill intent, red caps, and boggles, and, well, all manner of creatures.
The
Bull.
unseen.
There is one last thing we should do before you leave. Our power was weak, so we could not do this earlier, but we should rekindle the bond between the Summer Court and the Fairfolk champions. If you are willing, hold out your hands.
Draven holds out his hand.
Plop it out there.
Same here.
Alright, the ghostly images kind of drift their way towards you. With the exception of Laura Lena, who has no champion. And as each of you holds out your hand, the one with the sigil, of course, so too do the members of the Summer Court, with Nisandil extending a branch with leaves at the end of it like fingers to you, Martos.
Okay.
And as each of them reaches out their hand to just sort of hold it above yours, your sigil begins to glow even brighter. And then each of you, independently from each other, just sees a brief vision. Starting with Martos. Martos. This is what you see. A strong-looking man with a great axe, bearing leather armor and a skull atop his head.
Good choice. Good choice.
Draven. This is what you see. A pale woman, rather sickly looking, in metal armor, with a rapier at her side.
Mm-hmm.
Her ears are pointed, like that of an owl's. Wits. This is what you see, and it's familiar. A short little gnome, bearing those same gloves that you do. And lastly, Sybil, this is what you see. A black-haired woman wearing a cloak over her head with a hood. And at first she just sort of stands there smiling kindly. And then as her image begins to fade, you notice her entire eye, even the whites of it, slowly fade to black. And then her image disappears. And then slowly, the gold on the backs of each of your hands fades back to its normal form. and each member of the Summer Court drifts back to their position. Now, you are all fair folk champions, as those before you were as well.
Do we feel any different, like physically, after the sigil change?
You do. You feel more at home in the forest. Everything that felt sort of strange and unfamiliar now does not. You are now considered Fae in regards to anything involving the Whisperweld.
Poggers.
In addition to that, Wits, we discussed this briefly, but you are Fae touched.
Yes.
So there's your little signal if you were curious. And then lastly, of course, you all level up.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool.
Not gonna lie, that's kind of why I was asking, are we strong enough?
Can we do this? Well, shit.
All right, let's end the session there, because that's
Okay.
already overtime.
Wow, that was cool.
Dude, like all the maps in this area are so great. This,
I
this
was-
whole sequence like was great too, Jared. Like really good.
I was so excited for Alpha I've had these maps for a while, and I love them, so I was looking
And-
forward to showing them off.
Then
Ye-
I apologize that I made it go longer because I wanted to go shopping.
It's all good. I was actually expecting you guys to want to look through the ant market, so I was fine with going a little long today. I don't have anything to do.
You did really good with the depth of these maps, like showing how it's so high up.
Yeah, it's all sort of like a layer of trees that are placed below it and then flattened and filters over top of them. It's a whole experience. But they were fun to make, so I'm glad they turned out good. The lighting in Incarnate is getting really, really good. I'm getting very good at it, so I can start to make some cool things. But yeah. Also, for reference as to how long this campaign has been in order, Nisandil was talked about in Class of Crows.
Yeah, I remember his name. I wasn't thinking at first like him being that reference, but then you said his name and I was like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah, their tree friend talked about him.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Fairfolk Champions. Let's go to the other screen. I can change your guys' name in the Discord if you want. If that's cooler than Whispers in the Woods.
Yeah, you gotta make it gold. Put us up right below you. Yeah, but oh, also, I don't have it in my notes, so that's why I wasn't entirely sure. But that fifth person was the previous owners of these gauntlets, right? Or the bracers, right?
The person that you saw was the owner of the gauntlets.
Well, I remember whenever I put it in the, what's it called? I forgot what it was called that the Vinrars had. That machine that I forgot. I'm so bad with names. It was the head of the house that I put the bracers in. Tell me about the previous owner.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
gnome. The gnome was that person.
Well, no, but what didn't it also show that it was the dead person that was next to the chest we found it in?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I was just making sure
Wait,
because I
is-
thought that was the
Yeah,
fifth person.
Wait, was the gnome the fifth new champion, or was she the predecessor to Wits?
She's the predecessor to Wits.
Oh. I was thinking she was one of the new ones as well. She just like got caught down there and died somehow.
The people you saw in your visions were the past Fairfolk champions.
Okay, that makes sense.
Alright, I'm typing out the name tags for you guys.
Hell
Cool.
yeah.
I spelled literally all of those wrong in my notes, but all good.
I figured you wouldn't get Thersiasis on your first try.
You spell it how you say it, and then it helps you pronounce it right every time.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't really care if you guys spell stuff wrong.
That's what I do.
I call
spell
him
it how I
Cool
say
Guy
it,
because he
and
looks
right
pretty
next
cool.
to it. I just do nicknames from everybody. I don't remember nobody's name. They all get nicknames.
Alrighty. There was one more champion, but you didn't get to see that one because there's only 4 yet. But a keen-eyed viewer may be able to guess. What do you think, chat?
It's
Yes.
Jellycat.
Tell
What's
us.
the question? The fifth
Jellycat,
champion?
Tell us.
the final champion.
I was trying to theory bait the chat.
It's Bayra.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
It's Barry. Barry is the final champion. If you look at one of his legs, if you zoom in with like a microscope, you'll see the sigil.
All I'm saying is that somebody who's really paying attention has all the information they need to piece that one together.
Go back and watch everything.
Yep. Time to rewatch 40 hours of odds to scan through.
Ilseville?
No.
I cannot think of
Wrong.
an
Does
NPC
anything
right now.
interfere with next week?
It should be good.
The 10th?
I finally don't have a test on Thursday.
Woo!
Nice.
Nice.
It's gonna be on the following Tuesday, so I'm gonna be able to make it to that one.
Nice.
Yeah,
So is
next
that
week should be good.
no conflicts? Perfect. All right. Well, then the next episode of Whispers in the Woods will be the 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern. So tune in for more of this to see the continuation.
But I can't wait to haggle that shopkeeper.
Exactly. Tune in for an entire 3 hours of Shopkeeper RP. It's funny because Silversong just got to Glory Bell, so they are also Shopkeeper RP. That's my entire week.
Hey, Wits is rocking 60 gold now. He's ready to get those prices down.
Hell yeah.
Went from the poorest to the richest party member in like 3 sessions.
All you had to do was rob a dead door.
Rob a dead dwarf and haggle a rich himbo.
I have an ear now. Oh,
And to you, that is more valuable than 30 gold.
it is. Look, I can do. What if like it comes in handy? I
You
got
should have shown it to the
hand that.
elders. Be like, look what I got.
I don't think they would be proud of me.
All right. So we will pick up again next time. The next actual stream will be probably maybe Sunday. Caesar's Hand is a little all over the place because we have scheduling issues, so I kind of move them around a little bit depending on how open their availability is. But Sunday seems to work the best for them, so I'll say that's the rough answer. Probably sometime around 8ish to continue Pancake Adventures. For reference, they're traveling through the Imhara Desert in a sweltering sea of sand, facing many dangers, and Pancake is the name of their camel, so he's the main character now.
Nice.
Pancake is awesome.
So if you want to see if Pancake survives the escort quest, tune into more Caesar Sand. Last session, they met some cute little rock cats and then defended them from vultures that tried to kill them. And then got depressed about killing the vultures because one of their members liked birds.
That's a no.
So check that out if you want to get all caught up for their continued adventures in the sweltering Imhara.
The bad one, I kind of want Pancake to die.
just for the RP opportunities.
Yep.
So, such a weird coincidence that my roommate's cat is also named Pancake.
It's
Oh,
actually
no!
even further like coincidence than that, because I had named the camel Pancake, like from the beginning of the campaign, and a couple sessions in, they just started talking about pancakes and teaching the innkeeper in Al-Zahar how to make pancakes.
Mhm.
So it's just like a really
Speaking of
weird.
food, my roommate made me a grilled cheese, which we had taught Elias how to make.
Right, yeah.
Because my mom ran in the room saying grilled cheese that one session.
Just like, you want a grilled cheese? Hell yeah, I want a grilled cheese.
All right. So yeah, look forward to more Seas of Sand, and then of course the other campaign I run on this channel is Silver Song on Mondays, also 7 p.m. Eastern. Let's check that one out. They're just arrived in the big city. They got to hunt down someone who can tell them more about a relic, all while dealing with Tipper's family trauma. So yeah, tune in to see more of that. That should be interesting. It's a huge city, lots to explore. If you ever miss a session, you can check out the archive on YouTube. We upload all the VODs there. So if it's not on Twitch, it'll be there. You can go back and catch up on Whispers in the Woods. You can go back and watch campaigns that have already ended. You can go find that one very specific 2-second reference to Nisandil within Clash of Crows if you are a hardcore super fan. Somewhere towards the end when they're talking to the tree. Killian's tree. If you want to see my schedule updates, I tweet about them on my Twitter. There's a link at Grand Lorien. Or just look up Charlemagne J. Shackleford. That's me. Or you can join our Discord. It's not just for players. We got channels for memes, fan art, art in general. Channels for all the different campaigns to discuss, to post your theories about who that champion is. And all sorts of stuff. So feel free to join it. It's not just for players. And then lastly, I have a World Anvil where you can go and learn about factions, deities, places, people within the living world that I run all my campaigns in. And there's a cheese command as well. So yeah, check that out. It's like a wiki. It just got us all the information if you want to do a bit of extra reading for reference. I always say this campaign is in Kael Tihera, or the Phalanx. Currently they're in Upper Loft, which you'll just... I don't even know if it's... No, it's not on the map. I didn't want them to know about it at the beginning of the campaign, so it's not on the map. But I might actually do some updates to Kael Tihera now that they've kind of got a bit more of a sense of what's going on. I might add a page for the Summer Court now that they are a little more familiar with them. So get some World Anvil updates as you progress. Other than that, that's all I have to say. Anybody have anything to add?
Cheese.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's how we started the stream, and that's how we shall end it. Thank you for stopping by and watching, everybody. I'll see some of you in later streams. Take care, and I hope you all have a great night.
Night, everyone.
Farewell.
Bye.